let's kick off. Um, for my first question, as in the presentation of Mr. Labib Mata, um, well, should the making of the smart infrastructure be a government investment or do private parties have to be involved? Somebody takes the lead in that?
Do you hear me?
I can kind of hear you. I don't know about the audience.
Is the voice clear for all? Well, actually, both
Alright.
it should be
Okay.
private and government.
All right.
Yeah.
So, please.
So the question is that the investment should be from the government or the private. I feel that as we know that today the major focus at all time and in all the events is the energy and water and the fuel. So in this energy market, when we are considering the smart system which are linked directly to this, so the investment related to the smart systems and the smart infrastructure, I believe that it is not only from the private investors important, but the government also should share this investment. Because it's a bigger role of government entity to give the best services, to give the best quality of life to the consumers. And smart system and the smart infrastructure plays a bigger role when we are talking about this smart energy efficiency, smart water systems, smart electricity transmission, distribution, operations. So these all are related to this investment, and I think government plays a bigger role in this.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Then also mentioned by the opening speaker, well, actually, it's a question about who owns the data, because it should be open. It is open, but should it be open to all, or just open to them serving the public good?
Well, I can take it. Actually, we are in a different discussion today with different governmental segments in the country and in the region, and this is a big question today: who owns the data? And when we talk about the cloud, so the question is, it's a private cloud or it's a public cloud? And today, the governmental entity, they are resisting that. They want to manage their own data, and they want to ensure the high level of cyber security of this data. So at the end, I don't think that government today will open this part because it's big time touching the security of the data as well the country. So this will be managed always at the entity level or the governmental level.
All right. Yeah. And do you think that there will be some kind of possibility to get like more data and couple like databases from a government point of view? Or is that something you don't see for the future?
Well, I think the trend, yes, it's going toward that direction. But today the question is how we segmentize this part of the data. It will be a business in the future because data today is part of our business. So how government will share this data with the private sector and how to manage the interaction between the two stakeholders.
All right. So all the data about infrastructure and also roads and all those things will become available somehow if it's serving like the public good. Now I understand that in Abu Dhabi there's been quite some infrastructure works going on who always go in the smart direction.
Well, yes, of course. As you know now, smart technology, one of the most important subject need to be more attention from the government. For example, we used not only in in the execution projects, we used also in our operation projects in the irrigation system. We developed the pump station to be automatically, not to be manual. The network, we use the sensor for that. And all of this lead to have one control room to manage and operate your network. That saves for us about 80% from water consumption.
Okay.
And decrease our labors from 180 labors per day to 2 or 3 crews, which is about 30 labors, and give us a great satisfaction from the public.
Yeah.
We didn't get any complaints about leakage of water. We didn't get any complaints about dead trees and that. Also, on the lighting, we start before 3 years moving from the traditional lighting, the MH and the sodium, to LED. And that's really on the project pilot, which was in one sector in Abu Dhabi, show us about 80% of electricity saving.
All right.
Yeah, and we already start now, and our manuals involve it for the whole project.
Okay, so Abu Dhabi is also into the game.
Yeah.
Now, I also understand that there is like a roadmap on smart and smart grids and the evolution on that. Maybe you can elaborate on that for us?
Yes, thank you. For Sharjah, as I am from Sharjah Electricity and Water Authority, we have a clear roadmap for the smart grids and smart infrastructure. We already started the smart technology projects from year 2000 when we implemented our load dispatch center with the smart application or the EMS, energy management system, which is fully equipped, and we are controlling around full electrical network on transmission through this smart application. Secondly, we have still, in the roadmap to go for the distribution management system, which is still on the way and it's in the pipeline. Similarly, for the smart meter, we have already started the project with the pilot of around 1,500 smart meters with different vendors. And we have completed so far around 20,000 smart meters. Smart meter pilot project, I would like to share some experience when we were doing this project. We have seen many, you can say, technical challenges when we were implementing. And this was the reason to implement the smart meters with different vendors, different manufacturers, because we have to see the coordination, the integration part of the smart meters to the communication and to the MDM system. So there we have to be very careful that when we are talking about the protocols and when we are talking about the integration, this has to be fully coordinated. So here we have seen some good experience which we can share to anyone. Then we are also moving towards the smart water SCADA system, which is on the way. And as all these applications, the smart applications, will help us in improving our services towards the consumers, toward the better services towards the consumers. When we are using these applications for the demand response, for the operational activities, this will, of course, minimize the interruption time. As nowadays, all the utilities are looking for the SAIDI and SAFI indexes, which is they are trying to prove themselves that they are the best in these indexes. So we are also, looking forward to see that we move to that index, which is towards the international benchmark.
Yeah. So from a global perspective, if you would challenge the Middle East with the rest of the world when it comes down to smart and the evolutions you are taking, can you have an overview? Do you know where you're standing right now?
Well, I think we are one of the top 10 countries in that. We really changed from, in the last 5 years, in all, not only in the infrastructure, in the whole services actually.
Okay, maybe.
I think when you are talking about the smart cities, we are not behind the world. I think you see some of the smart systems, smart applications, and smart services available in those cities. So the main is Dubai. You can see how smart it is, and we see the best in all the smart grid infrastructure in it.
Absolutely. Smart and
So
happy.
I think Middle East is not behind the world.
All right.
Well, it's catching up here. The advantage of this area of the world that when they start something, they really go fast. And this is how they accelerate the implementation of the smart cities. So yes, they may lagging behind a couple of years ago, but today they are catching up and they are going ahead of big part of the world in this development of the smart cities.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can see it like everywhere. Do you also spot like trends in energy from that part?
Yeah, sure. So today there is a big transformation on the energy business, energy markets. That's what we call the 3D transformation. So it's starting from decentralization, the first D, which is where we see in the coming 20 years till 2030 that 32% of the investment on the energy segment going to the renewables, going to decentralize the energy generation from a big plant to generation everywhere. The second part of the transformation, which is the second D, it's the digitization. You know, the big data integration today and the IoT will connect more than 50 billion devices to the cloud and to the network by 2020. And the third D, which is the decarbonization. So there is a big diversification today on the energy generation part. So we expect that 57 of the consumers will be self-generation in the coming 25 years. So energy generation or energy demand will increase 40% by the coming 25 years. And we expect that electricity demand will increase by 80%. So there is a big focus today on electricity. And this is all the SMART initiative is today initiated. Why we talk about smart cities, you know that 50% of the world population living on the cities itself, which is account for only 2% of the Earth's surface. So 50% of the population on 2% of the Earth's surface that count for 75 of the energy consumption and 80% of the carbon emission. So there is a big focus today on in improving the efficiency on the smart cities. As well helping the utilities that serving these cities. So I can give some examples where technology really help utilities to improve their performance, to improve their efficiency, and also to minimize the cost. So I can give an example of Enel, which is a utility in Italy, where we help them with our technology to save 5.7 million euro a year by just implementing and reconfiguring the network 2 times a year. Second example I can give is Meralco in Philippines. So we help them to improve their SAIFI and SAIDI KPIs by 22% by just implementing the right distribution management system, a smart system to help them to manage their network. Third example related to performance and customer satisfaction, which is Steden in Netherlands, where we help them to minimize the interruption duration from 2 hours to 18 seconds only by implementing a concept called self-healing, which is an advanced technology helping utility to manage their grid and network.
Well, so there are a lot of applications and I can see and spot the benefits of them, but how do the companies actually experience an implementation of, for instance, a smart grid? And maybe you can elaborate on that one?
Regarding the implementation of smart grid?
Yeah, yeah.
See, the implementation of smart grid, organizations like government entities who are giving services to their consumer, we have to be very careful that when we are planning these projects, it has to be with respect to the quality of the product, the quality of the design, and the infrastructure which we are going to implement. The main thing is the reliability of the system, which is, of course, the major question towards the services. So when we are working on the implementation of smart grid, these all factors are very, you can say, important to be considered. Then secondly is the cost. We have to see that it is a cost-effective projects which we are going for. Because when we are talking about the smart system, smart devices, smart applications, you have several varieties and several options available in the market. But as a utility or as a service provider, we have to be very careful in selecting all those products with respect to the quality and the reliability. So main thing is the quality, reliability, and the cost.
Okay. Is that in line with your experience from abroad? Is it also those parameters that actually make or break the success?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, cost is an important part, and today there's always a big question about the return of investment of implementing these smart solutions and application. But today we see it in the business cases we are implementing. Yes, the ROI of implementing a smart solution, it takes between 1 to 3 years maximum. This is not thanks only to the smart solution, it's thanks also to the inefficiency we have built for the last 30, 40 years in our infrastructure. So there's a lot of saving and cost optimization that we can do on our existing infrastructure.
Okay. And are in any of those visions smart buildings also included as the main energy users of cities?
Yeah, I agree with you. Smart building plays also an important role in the smart infrastructure and smart cities. Because now these all smart devices, the smart sensors, which we can utilize in making the building smart. Now as we are moving towards the green code and the green buildings, with the renewables. So, and then the energy efficiency, of course, and the conservation of the energy. So the buildings plays also a bigger role in improvement and in the success of the smart systems. So when we are implementing the smart systems in the buildings, we ensure that all the devices, all the systems which are implemented are to the highest quality, and they are working in line with the codes, the regulations, and the framework which has been designed by the government. So this will facilitate not only the end users, but also the service providers will be gained.
Okay. So from, for instance, a demand response point of view, well, first of all, you have the demand side management where we try to reduce the energy usage, as we had the example in Abu Dhabi with the LED lighting and the sensoring and making it all visible. Do you, for instance, also see smart buildings like actively participating in supply security? Or is that more for industry point of view? And it's an open question to the panel, so pick in whenever you want.
You already make a study about that.
Well, no, security today is a big question. So when we move to data and to cloud, cybersecurity today is a key topic. So when we talk about both, is the physical security of a building? Or
well, it's more security of supply. What I was aiming for, like, is there enough electricity being generated to balance supply and demand on the electricity net, actually, and then doing demand response where we will, well, shut down some applications in buildings or move them to a later time frame when there's, well, more generation or more power on the net. So
well, exactly, yes. So the idea of the smart building is first to save the energy. So we need to minimize the consumption. The second part is if we're able to generate electricity, yes, this will be a positive point to help to sustain the operation of the building. And then the third part is there is a big also transformation on the consumer behavior. So today there is different element entering our day-to-day life. For example, electrical vehicles. Today it's another element that could contribute to the electricity or to the energy part, where you can shift some loads from, let's say, period of the day. So today electrical vehicles could be a storage and could be a generator. So you can charge it on a certain time of the day where the consumption is less or the cost of the energy is less, and then use it on the peak time. So yes, this is all will contribute to the behavior of the energy consumption.
Well, it is a business case for those who want to invest in their buildings and aiming for some revenues on that investment, reducing operational expenses.
This is also should be driven by the regulation itself. So today the local regulation is not allowing selling electricity. And they are limiting the generation up to 50%, for example, in Dubai. I think in the future they should open that, and they should set a tariff for selling and contributing to the grid by generating electricity on these smart buildings.
Okay, very nice. Well, our time is well, unfortunately limited, so I think we can wrap up. I don't know if someone of you has still a message left for the audience before we go to the Q&A session.
Yeah, one of the points which I want to share with your last question is when you are talking about the demand response. So for an electricity company, the demand response plays a very, you can say, important role, where we are always, working on neck to neck for the demand, because the year by year the energy, the load demand is increasing, and that is what we have to see, that how the peak shaving has to be done either by the conservation or by all these technologies, techniques which we have to see. So demand response plays a very important role, and smart technology and the smart system can help in deriving these formulations, especially for the demand response when we are implementing smart meters. This gives a big help to the utilities.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. I don't know if there are questions from the audience for the panel. Sorry. I don't see. Yeah.
Sorry, I was... Hello? Yeah, sorry, I was late to put my hand up. Can I refer back to the second discussion point, which is understanding the benefits of a common platform? The platform, would that be considered to be federal, UAE-wide, or at a individual emirate level in terms of sharing data, and also the platform in terms of the operability?
Oh yeah, so the data platform that will be gathering and ingesting all the data, will it be per emirate, will it be UAE-wide, or some other interaction of data between the different countries? Is that the question?
Yes.
All right. So I will give it to the panel. So the data, will it be shared amongst everyone, or will it be emirate specific?
See, it depends. Sorry, please.
That's with you.
Please.
Thank
you. See, it depends on the area which we are talking about. So when we are talking about the secure data, especially when we are talking about the services, the EMS system, the DMS, the smart meters, these are the secure data, which partly can be shared but not fully, because this is more a national security related issue. But other than this, the open data when we are talking about the long-range LORI system and the Internet of Things, these data, the open data, can be shared by the public, because that will be, of course, utilized by the public. So, I mean, it depends on the areas where we are talking about the data. So when we are talking about the bulk data for the utilities or for a special entity, that depends.
Well, I can imagine that from a utilities point of view and to demand security, so that, well, when you have a shortage in Abu Dhabi and you have an overproduction in Dubai, that would make sense to share that data and to share the energy or sell the energy or whatever to balance out, every imbalance that could be there on the net. I know that I think between Abu Dhabi and Dubai there is even a interconnection of the grids.
Yes.
Yes.
So sharing the data would make sense there.
That part of data is shared, of course, yes, between the emirates to inter-exchange the power and the energy and the service.
But it would also make sense to share some other data to do benchmarking with the project in Abu Dhabi, where they have some experience with LED lighting and SCADA systems. I can imagine there's lots of data going on there and reporting.
This data, actually, we share it with our colleagues from other Emirates, Dubai, Sharjah, many of summits, conference, many of visits, official visits between us and them, the municipalities and the responsible department. It's not a secret, but the question from our colleague is the data shared with the private sector.
Oh, yeah.
I can share the data with you. It's okay. But do we have a contract together? Because there is many, I will not share all the information with him. I will give him the information that he needed to develop something that mentioned in the contract between me and him. At the end, he's a service provider for the government, right? And I want to be sure that the service I will get from him is, the quality of the service should be more than what I expect.
Yeah.
The data is shared with our consultant, with our contractors, with our colleagues, our other governments, because at the end, the target is to get the best quality.
All right. So it's all about data sharing to enhance quality and operations.
Of course.
Okay.
Not only in operation, even in execution, in development.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's best practice.
Of course. Now SCADA system, as you know, the first SCADA system was in Abu Dhabi. Now all the other Emirates, Sharjah start already, and I think the announcement will be soon, inshallah, in this year. And the other government is going to do the same thing.
All right. So you're leading there.
Not me.
Yeah,
I'm
making the way. Does that answer your question? All right, thank you. Are there any other people I'm ignoring with a question? It's really hard to see anything from here, so I hope not. So then I would like to thank all the people on stage, of course. So we have Nader El-Zoubi, Engineer Dorip Ibrahim, and Engineer Musim Al-Bereki. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.